Okay, guys, welcome back to another Meet the Candidate. On tonight's program, we have Cody Randall Phillips, and he is running in Creek District Seat B. Mr. Phillips, thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here, Mado, for inviting me.
So, at the start here, I just wanted to give you a couple of minutes to tell us about yourself and why you're running for office.
Gotcha. Okay. Stongo, Falakja, Cody Phillips, Chifkadon, Aktiak Cholgi, Amalagada Dundo, Akfuski Dalwa, Amidalwa Dundos, Umbolzidat, Aaron Phillips, Ochifkadon, Boktaji, Ochtoi, Ella, Mochifkado, Moen, Bristow, Talovaji, Ubogidui Dundos. Um, hey, how are you guys doing? My name's Cody Phillips. My clan is Aktiak Cholgi. My tribal town's Okfuski. My wife's name is Erin. We have a little girl. Her name is Ella. We live in Bristow. One of the main reasons why I kind of wanted to run, I used to work for the tribe in the social services department. I really enjoyed my time over there. Got to help a lot of people, and there was a lot of people that I unfortunately could not help just due to some of the policies that we had, or just different circumstances that citizens came to us and just had. So, but I really enjoyed my time while I was over there. When I left there, I got into education, and I've been there. I've been in education for 3 years now. I teach science, social studies, and math for in fourth grade. Over the summer, or before the summer, actually, last school year, I really kind of got to missing the tribe, and I even went as far as looking back into some career openings and job opportunities within the tribe, and just nothing really fit what I was wanting to do, or what I wanted to leave education for. Um, and so later on, it was probably a couple weeks later, somebody had asked me, "Have you ever thought about running for national council?" And I said I had once before, and I kind of got nervous, and just felt like I really couldn't do that, and that was 2 years ago. And when somebody had said that, it kind of hit me there. Maybe why I couldn't find anything job wise or career wise within the tribe was because maybe this was my sign. Maybe this was my path that Ofunga had created for me. And so really I had just started from there and decided that I was going to run. And I felt like it was the right decision in my heart, and I felt like it was by design, that all those things kind of fell in place. And really that's why I decided to run. It was more of a calling that I had felt to do this. So that was the biggest factor for me whenever I had decided to actually run for council.
Okay. Guys, I want to remind you, if you have a question, pop it into the chat. We've got a lot of preloaded questions here from TY Prol, and I'm going to go through those. And when it's not a question from TY Prol, I'll switch to whoever is asking it. And then once we clear the chat questions for a little bit, we'll move on to the email questions if the email questions hadn't already been asked. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with the first question here from TY Prol. Would you support legislation to require all tribal employees, including those employed by independent agencies or as third-party independent subcontractors, to be e-verified to determine citizenship?
To determine citizenship. Could you repeat that question one more time, please?
Sure. Would you support legislation to require all tribal employees, including those employed by independent agencies or as third-party independent subcontractors, to be e-verified to determine citizenship?
Gotcha. I'm really not sure what e-verified means. I'm
Well,
assuming that's
TY Prol has in here, E-Verified is a free federal employee eligibility system that verifies citizenship and immigration status of employees in the United States.
gotcha. Oh, okay, okay. Just to verify that they are citizens to do any work for the tribe. Um, that's a very good question. That's a tough question as well. Um, you know, I'm gonna have to lean toward, in my heart, I feel like that's something that I could not, really support. As much as I want to see a lot of tribal, a lot of our citizens work for the tribe. There's a lot of instances where, those positions go vacant for months because I've seen them like that
Mm-hmm.
on the website. So for me, I feel like that would do more harm than good, as far as getting positions filled, and or having independent agencies. I'm assuming maybe like contractors and things like that of that nature. But it's just something that I think could probably do more harm than good. So that's the stance that I'm going to have on that.
Alrighty. TY Pro's got another question here. Do you support expanding federal hiring preferences for citizens of federally recognized tribes at federal agencies where they are not currently offered, like Immigration and Customs Enforcement, who are currently hiring in mass?
Yes, I do. I would support that as far as you know letting it be known, that as far as if you're whether you're a Creek citizen, Cherokee citizen, if you're Native American, I mean, you need to have the same opportunities, as far as across the board when it comes to careers and jobs. So absolutely, yes.
Okay. TY Prol asks, Mvskoke Nation has previously been a party to proposal to build a tribally funded and owned private third-party built and operated South Tulsa toll bridge. What is your position on the nation being involved and invested in a project and partnership like this?
A toll bridge. I'm assuming that's maybe Turnpike Authority. Is that what we're talking about here?
Well, I'm just reading the. I didn't write the question, so I can't tell you for sure. But it sounds
Gotcha.
like he's asking, would you support the nation being invested and involved in building a toll bridge?
Yeah, and involved in that. I think the tribe's got a lot of working out to do with the state, as far as that goes. I feel like in the future that could be something that could definitely be looked at. That could be both beneficial to both parties. But right now, I think it's such a sticky situation, due to the state's leadership that they have right now. So for me to say that I would support that. I definitely could not do that right now just because of the leadership or lack thereof that the state of Oklahoma has. Not anything that's due to the tribe, because I think that the tribe has put in, a lot of effort and those things as far as that front goes. But as far as the state goes, it's just the leadership that they have right now. I just feel like that I couldn't support something like that. But that's not to say that I wouldn't support something like that in the future if leadership has changed with the state of Oklahoma, and it's like I said, mutually beneficial for both parties.
Okay. TY Prol has another question here. He says, what is your position on the Southern Villa TIF District / Riverline project in Tulsa? Do you support reserving some of the commercial and residential units to serve citizens and clear housing waits?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to pass on that question just because I don't know enough information to fully,
Okay.
confirm whether I support that or not.
Okay. TY Prol asks, are you familiar with the duties, authority, and responsibilities of the Wildlife Department's management of our lands? How will you support their efforts? Do you support expanding more hunting and fishing and use of, I don't know that word, foraging opportunities to our citizens on land owned by the nation? Did you get that, sir? Sorry.
Oh, I kind of cut out there at the very end, but I think I got the quick. Could you repeat just the maybe middle to last part
Sure.
of that question?
Sure. How will you support their efforts? do you support expanding more hunting and fishing and usufructuary foraging opportunities to our citizens on land owned by the nation?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm an avid outdoorsman. I have been pretty much my whole life. I am a hunter, fisher, and I can say that all those things are are things that we need to do. I know there's a lot of things that I think that maybe the tribe could work with as far as the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife goes. I know we've had a lot of progress, um, with expanding, rights to hunters. But there's other things, maybe smaller, bigger things that haven't been looked at. I've recently looked into the Oklahoma draw hunts, and that is something that citizens right now, you have to have a state license. You have to acquire that to enter any kind of draw hunt for the state of Oklahoma. So that's definitely something that I kind of want to look at if I was elected. But for sure, all of those things I 100% support. Anything to do with wildlife and improving our habitats as well, and managing those areas, absolutely, I would back 100%.
Okay. T.Y. Prohl asks, do you support expanding behavioral health services to provide after-hours telehealth counseling services?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if that's something that's already in place right now. I know I've been looking into some of the behavioral health stuff that we have. Um, if it's not in place, absolutely, that's something that I would back 100%. I think that's a need, especially to all of our citizens, because those things come at all hours of the day, no matter what. So it's more like a 24/7 type of thing, and there's help that is available to citizens. I would back that 100%.
All righty. T.Y. Prohl is asking me to ask the question about Light Horse cooperating with ICE, but I don't see that in the chat up there, T.Y. Is that the E-Verified question? Oh, wait, no. I don't see that a question that includes ICE up there, but just go ahead and put it back in the chat again, TY, and I'll ask the question. While I'm waiting on that, I'm going to go ahead and jump over to some email questions. The first one is, has the election board or any other governmental body instructed you not to speak about the MCN Supreme Court's decision in the Freedman case?
No, absolutely not. I have not been contacted by the election board. I've not been contacted by any entity or any one person about the Freedman case.
Okay. What is your opinion on that decision?
Opinion wise on the decision, I'm gonna have to pass on that question as well.
Okay. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to get this question sorted out. Let's see here. The Muskogee are a nation, not a race of people. Do you agree or disagree? If you disagree, could you explain?
Could you repeat that one more time, please?
The Muskogee are a nation, not a race of people. Do you agree or disagree? And if you disagree, could you explain?
A nation and not a people. Yeah, I mean, I would have to personally say that we are, a people. We are, but it's kind of to me, it's really, for me personally, and just my opinion. It's who we are. Ofunga has, given us all these things back from before we went on the long walk, and to be Muskogee, that's as a people that we carry our traditions, and even from the long walk, the things that we have taken, and the things that we still have, and things that have been passed down from generations to generations, things that I'm going to pass down to my daughter, things that I'm going to pass down to if I have another daughter or a son one day. those things will be passed down from generation to generation, and from our ceremonial grounds to even our churches. I know I'm not actively involved in any Creek churches, but those things have been passed down, and also our ceremonial grounds, and just our language as well. So all those things, combined, that's Muskogee to me. That's our people. That's what we are. So to answer that question, that's how I feel about that.
All right. Next question here is, do you think the blood quantum requirement for office or chartered community boards needs to be changed?
Me personally, no, I don't feel that way. I don't feel like it needs to be changed. And the reason why I say this is there are qualified Creek citizens out there. How we get them involved, how we get them, in, that's such a larger question and issue. You know, it's something that's not going to change overnight. It's something that's, we're going to have to work on, all together. There's not just one, you know, department to blame for this, or there's not, one person to blame. It's going to have to be, as a group effort, to encourage people, that they can do these things, that they can run for an office. We have smart, educated citizens that meet those requirements and they're not involved. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because they feel like they cannot get elected based on, who has held that office, for however many years. I really don't know, but I know that there are people, that meet those requirements, and that probably don't even vote nonetheless too. And it's something that's not going to change overnight, but I have faith that, in years to come, by encouragement and getting the word out, I believe that could change. So that's kind of where I stand on that.
All right. We've got a question here from Elijah B. Do you think we will have a black man as chief later on in the years?
A black man as chief later on in the years. I mean, that's I don't see how that couldn't be. I'm really not under. I guess I don't understand, and I guess that goes back to the blood quantum, as well, because the definition of, a black chief, I mean, do they, they might look it, do they meet the blood quantum? Absolutely. I could see that being the case for sure one day. Yeah. I mean, it could happen within the next, 2 to 4 years. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, but again, that's a question that I feel like, it's tied to blood quantum and, a person's definition on, whether they're black or brown or white. So.
All righty. The next question on my list here is, have you reviewed the latest quarterly report? How familiar are you with it?
Yeah, unfortunately, I have not. I kind of glanced at it, but I have not fully dived into it to get a full understanding. So, unfortunately, no.
Okay. Do you know the amount currently held in the permanent fund? Would you support a movement to accumulate over $1 billion in the permanent fund before the end of the decade?
No, I don't. I don't know what's in the permanent fund. Unfortunately, I can't answer that question.
Okay. Would you support a movement to accumulate over $1 billion in the permanent fund?
Without knowing, what's in there, I really can't answer that as well.
Okay. Are you aware of the draft legislation by Senator Mullen that proposes to give the Cherokee Nation authority over the Cherokee Reservation, including gaming? I think this is the UKB and Cherokee Nation question.
UKB, yeah.
What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I really, I I really haven't done enough research on both sides to be fully confident enough to answer that question right now.
Okay. Are you a citizen of any federally recognized tribal town?
Any federally recognized tribal town? No, I'm not.
Okay. We've had a question. TY's popped a question up here, and I'm going to ask it, TY, in just a second. I wanted to ask this other tribal town question really quick.
Okay.
Do you think dual enrollment in a federally recognized tribal town is a conflict of interest?
No, I dual enrollment. So being enrolled in two different tribal towns, is that the question?
No. Right now, you can currently be enrolled as a Muskogee Creek Nation citizen and a citizen of, for instance, Loch Plapo or the other tribal towns, Alabama, Casada.
Alabama Corsati, something like that.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Me personally, no. I don't believe that that's any conflict of interest. To me personally, I don't see how that's of any kind of an issue. Personally, I don't, because I think you should have every right to be enrolled into that tribal town, because they do, you know, they do checks to make sure that you're of that tribal town. So I mean, no, I don't think so.
Okie dokie. TY Prol asks, how will you support increasing parental involvement on the Title VI JOM Indian Education parent committees and volunteering with challenge bowls?
Okay. So as far as getting parents more involved, I'm not too familiar with how that process works. I'm not confident in answering that question. I do teach at the school. I know that the JOM department has challenges, but as far as that goes, I'm not too confident in answering that question. The second part was Challenge Bowl, you said?
Yes.
And
Getting people to volunteer with challenge bowl.
Getting more people to volunteer. Yeah, that's tough, because I know that's maybe an issue. I know people have to take off work, or they have to work around things to make those. Whether it's practicing for Challenge Bowl, whether it's the actual Challenge Bowl itself, those are all events that people have to work around, and I know that we have people that are willing to do that, but also it does affect their lives, and it's so hard to get that any higher, because we want to see our youth succeed. Of course, everybody does. So I'm not sure how to, get more people involved as far as that goes. Yeah, I'm just not sure.
Okay. I'm going to try to pronounce this, guys, and if I get it wrong, don't get mad at me. Stachada Githaka asks, what would be your approach in negotiations with federal and state authorities on issues such as water rights, criminal jurisdiction, and taxation while protecting tribal sovereignty?
While protecting, okay. I think I feel like McGirt has. I feel like after the McGirt ruling, I feel like the tribe has a pretty strong stance as far as working with all of that, as far as like taxation goes, and working with municipal cities. So I don't know all of the legal side behind it, but I feel like we have a pretty strong foundation for the things that we have yet done. I feel like there is that room that the tribe can be making progress towards revenuing monies from taxation, and also working with municipalities, with like water and things of that nature. So I feel like there are things that are going to happen, but just not happened yet. I just don't know all the legal side to it. So
Okay. TY Pro asks, do you support changing the age of eligibility for elder services?
Do I support changing it? Changing it to what exactly?
I don't. That's his question.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess so. For elder, so no. I mean, if he is referring to maybe raising it, no. I feel like that's maybe where the question is going, as far as like maybe raising it, because I know obviously the federal government, I think, is trying to raise it, or they're raising it now to 65, or whatever it is. But no, I don't feel like that is I don't feel like that is necessary. I don't see why that's happening. If you look at the lifespan of people in today's age, it's it's not high. So I don't know why we would raise you know elder services, or any type of program that would require you to be an elder. I think 55 is where it has been, and where it needs to be. If anything, it should become lower. I mean, I don't know. But like I said, it definitely shouldn't go any higher. But like I said, if anything, it should go lower, in my opinion. Just due to, how long people actually live nowadays. I mean, people aren't living to be 100 anymore. I mean, that's just not, you know, that's not how it works anymore. And, middle age to me isn't 50. Middle age is, if anything, it's lower. It's 35 to 45 years old. I mean, it's much lower than I think people realize. So I definitely wouldn't support it going up for sure. If anything, it probably needs to come down. But like I said, it's just that's also something else that would just be a work in progress as well.
All right, and there's been a comment in here. Elijah says hard to do when you're driving, but the candidate's not driving. You might show everybody that you're not driving there, because some people
Oh
are.
yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, I'm sitting in the passenger seat. My wife's driving, and my daughter. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we made sure we wouldn't make
we're-
anybody do the interview while they're driving, guys.
No, I'm going to. I'm guessing a tight window and a tight schedule to get to Muskogee for tonight's forum, and so that's. Yeah, I apologize.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. I just wanted to clear that up because I saw somebody made that comment. We got a couple of questions here that we're going to go through, but we're getting close to 30 minutes. So if I don't get to your question, guys, forgive me on that. TY Proles asking, do you support increasing the school clothing donation allocation?
Yeah, I'm not 100% how much that is right now. I don't know how much that is. That's something that I would have to look into. Anything with children though is not a bad thing. It's just, how do we get the funds, and where are the funds coming from? That's something that I would have to look at. And like I said, I'm all about kids and our youth. How do we replenish things is something else that for sure has to be looked at.
All right. TY Prole asks, do you support term limits and votes of retention on judges?
Okay, so I'm assuming term limits as for judges as well. Is that?
No, I think he's just saying term limits for council members and
Okay, term limits for council members. Yeah. So, I'm gonna have to pass on the judges. I'm not comfortable. I'm not too confident in my answer on that. As far as term limits go, I would say term limits aren't a bad idea. I mean, 3-term limit, 2-term limit. I'm really not sure what kind of medium that we could find for that. Absolutely, though, I think if you're have a 3-term limit, you have 12 years. So you have 12 years to prove, or work up legislation that's going to benefit people. And let's not worry about the after. Let's have enough faith in our youth people that are coming up to, keep the ball rolling, so to speak. Let's have enough faith that, if you are doing the good things and the right things, then it should just be a pick up and go type thing. I don't know, I'm not too sure the craze on, not having term limits. I'm not sure on that. I'd hate to think that we have, a lot of. Oh well, I'll say this. So unfortunately, there's a lot of people that go unopposed in these elections. I'm not saying that it happens every year, but we do see a lot of people go unopposed, and it's very unfortunate. And that's another thing to fall back on that I think is just encouraging people that they can do these things. But at the end of the day, I think in 12 years, if if you're doing the right things, and if you've been elected in, for those 3 consecutive terms, you've done the right things, and you just pass the torch, so to speak. You give it to the next man up or woman, and they keep the ball rolling. So that's how I feel about it. And yes, I would support term limits.
Okie doke. So we got some questions here, and I'm going to ask these last questions, and then we're going to go over a little bit, but let's go through them. T.Y. Pearl asks, do you support putting same-sex marriage on the ballot to let the people decide?
I mean, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how, I'm not too sure how I would answer that, or how, because my personal opinion is that it doesn't matter, who you love or who you marry. I don't know. I'd have to look right now. Is that a state law? I mean, can a man and a man get married in the state of Oklahoma, or a woman and a woman? I don't know.
I think he's asking about at Creek Nation.
Yeah, Creek Nation. I'm not sure. Because you can do that, within the state. So I would just have to say, no. I'd just have to say no, I guess, at this point.
Okay. Let's see here. Stachatolgithlaka asks, do you support allowing at-large citizens being eligible for all programs regardless of where they live?
Okay, so yes, there's a kind of a caveat to that, though, because I used to work in social services, so it really pained me to see, Mvskoke people outside of the reservation could not qualify for our NAHASDA programs. Again, at the end of the day, the tribe can't control that, though. Those NAHASDA funds, those are federal funds. And so there's only so much that you can do with those federal funds. And unfortunately, you have to be living in jurisdiction. So I think, that kind of falls back onto, do we invest more money into our own tribal programs, which I would love to see. I would 100% back and support. It's, where are we going to get this? Where's our revenue source? We need to kind of broaden the spectrum on where we're pulling our money in. Absolutely, because the more money that we can pull in from, aerospace, cyber networking, cybersecurity, anything that would revenue us money, I would love to see go into our own tribal funds to help more people that live outside of the reservation. Absolutely. That was one thing that really pained me in my heart, that I could not help somebody that lived in Arizona, Texas. They would apply, and you would get a hardship program. You get, they can qualify for a hardship. That's $500. That's once a year. And you still have to work a case around that. And it would pain me because they would always ask me, well, what's $500 going to do for my $2,500 rent payment that I'm behind on? I don't know. I hope this helps, and I know you're telling me it's not, but it's hard, and it pained me a lot. And absolutely, if there was any kind of way that we could up those programs that would help all the people that live outside of the reservation, then I would 100% back that.
Okay. All right. Last question. And the question is, what is your opinion on the district voting amendment on the ballot?
Opinion on the district voting amendment. I think if we go back to district voting, I think if it passes, I think we're going to see maybe some accountability. Getting to know who your reps are. Who are you voting for? Who are you going to be electing in that seat? Are they going to attend the meetings? Are they going to be at the meetings? Are they going to answer their phone? When I need help, are they going to answer my phone? Are they going to call me back? Are they going to be at the meetings in person? That's a lot of the things. I think if it goes back to district voting, it's gonna hold a lot of people accountable, especially those in office for sure. So my opinion is, if it happens, I don't see it being a bad thing. So.
All right. We've had a question pop up here. I'm going to go ahead and ask it, but we'll try to keep the answer as short as we can so we can get out of it, because we're at 36 minutes here. Abalove is asking, how do feeling about the legislation possibly taking months or a year to give Creek freedmen their citizenship cards?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, another one of those. Unfortunately, I'm just going to have to pass on that question.
All righty. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. And Mr. Phillips, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Tomorrow at 6 p.m., we have another Meet the Candidate with Lahoma Schultz. And then on the 28th, we have another Meet the Candidate with Elizabeth Ann Grove Miller. And that's at 6 p.m. too. So if you guys want to ask them questions, tune in, and we'll just keep on rolling, and we'll see you next time. Mado, Hadum, Chihachak, please.